Hello everybody. This is Rob here, reporting from home, as many of you are, I'm sure, working in lockdown or something like lockdown at the moment. I'm sure we're all experiencing a lot more screen time than we would normally, so I really appreciate you doing a MOOC at a time like this. And yeah, we're really happy that you've joined us, and happy with the level of the conversations that are happening already. I think the conversations are at a quite intelligent level, and I'm personally really happy to see the kind of assumptions people are bringing. You know, the starting point is, I think, conceptually quite high. I think people, when we say things like, you know, English as a medium of education is necessarily about communication and not always about kind of language accuracy just for the sake of language accuracy. That used to get some resistance. I mean, some people used to, rally against that quite strongly. And I think now people take that as an assumption and then ask, what does that mean? And some people are asking, like, what are the implications? Like, how do you frame that in a way that doesn't throw away the idea of accuracy, because it is important, for teacher identities, to both to convey the content accurately. So you have to be precise with your language, and precise in a way that students can understand it. But also, like I said, there's this identity factor where if you can't just say, oh, it doesn't matter as long as they understand a basic message. Something does matter. And it matters to different people in different ways, in different contexts. So I'm really happy to see that people are engaging with that, and they're sharing their ideas, their views, and their experiences, which is really, I think that's where the real knowledge in this kind of area of education exists. It exists in what you do as educators. It exists in what you've experienced being educated in different contexts and different disciplines, because all of those different factors, these like micro cultures that exist around the world, they have different implications for communication. So thank you very much for bringing that, and I hope that continues as we go forward through the MOOC. So yeah, as I say, thank you for contributing. We hope you can contribute more. One thing we always encourage people to do is not just to contribute in a linear way. So the idea of this is not really that we are the experts and we kind of post a video, you learn from the video, and then you move on. It's more, the videos are designed to perhaps give a little bit of advice, but to start a conversation. And that conversation should be ongoing for the next 6 weeks. So during that 6 weeks, people will join the conversation that you've left behind. So if there's a particular step that's interesting to you, or that's valuable for you, and you'd like to hear other people's insights, you'd like to discuss it further, then please do go back to those steps and just check what's being said. Are people coming in from a similar context, or would you like to learn about different people's perspectives who teach in different areas? So I'll just flag that to you now, that when you're in week 4, people will be joining in week 1. So it might be a good idea just to look back and think about which discussions would interest you as you go forward. So although it is 1 to 4, it shouldn't be done in a linear way. And part of that is that, we'd also encourage you to like each other's posts, show that there are people listening, reading, people reading, and people responding to what you've written. And please do also comment if there's something of interest and you can add to it. Someone shares a view from their particular setting, and you can add a similar experience from a different setting, then that's wonderful. Then please do reply to each other rather than feeling you have to comment kind of new every time, because then it becomes less of a discussion and more of a kind of almost like an exercise that you do. So thank you very much. As I say, I think the level has been really high. And one thing I think that I really appreciate is that people are being quite critical in the sense that they're not, I think you're recognizing, for example, language accuracy. Accuracy can be important, but it's not important for its own sake. Globalization, most people are recognizing there are sort of forces of domination, of power, of inequality that come with universities' reactions to globalization and education systems' reaction to globalization. But also there are these transformative opportunities that happen. We've all opened students' eyes to something they didn't know before. And, that is an important experience, and that's why we do what we do. So I think rather than seeing, is this area of education good or bad, I think what we're starting to do is to look into specific contexts and practices and picking out what might be problematic for some of you in some situations, and picking out what benefits people. What are the affordances that come with English medium education? And I've said English medium education a few times. I'm going to give you a little thought to take forward into week 2, and that is that we no longer really use the term English as a medium of instruction, so EMI. At Southampton, we've switched to EME, so English medium education. And what I'd like you to do before we post the next video in week 2, I'd like you to think about why that is. So what are the implications of moving away from instruction as the word for what we're engaging with here, and moving instead to the term education? Okay, and that's so if you could post your answer to that on the video step in week 2, and also just have a think about what goes beyond instruction in what we're asking you, what we're discussing as we go through all the 4 weeks here, because I think that's quite an important aspect. Particularly now, a lot of universities are engaging with students more online. So we're finding a lot of the principles of education that many people tried to follow before are now being forced on us. We have to engage with teaching and engage with students' learning and their development in different ways than a traditional teaching model would have suggested in the past. Well, in some places in the past. So I'll just say thank you very much. So that's your mini task for this week, is to post, if you have time, on the video step next week. And again, I'd just like to reiterate our thanks, and it's really we're really happy to see the engagement that we've seen and the level of the discussions that have begun. And I'm really looking forward to see how they develop, because we do try to get deeper into specific areas of English medium education. And I'm looking forward to seeing how these conversations develop. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to keep reading, and I'll see you in week 2. Okay. Bye-bye. Take care.